Hello everybody. As you can see, I have heavily modified my plate stack, my electrolyzer housing. What I did was I followed Zero Fossil Fuel's idea, and I used acrylic plates to seal off the electrical connectivity along the edges of the plate stack. The only thing I didn't do that he did, see, he used this stuff called marine goop, which is great. It does a great job of sealing off electrical connection. But the problem with marine goop is it's hard to work with. It takes a lot of time to dry, and it's hard to get your plate stack apart after using that stuff. Because once you take it apart, you can't just throw it back together and do tests on it. If you take it apart, you're going to have to re-glue everything most of the time. Sometimes maybe you can get away with not re-gluing everything, but most of the time you're going to have to re-glue it. That's going to take more time, and it's not effective. And the only way it's effective is if you know when you put it together the first time that you're not going to be having to take it apart for any time soon. Well, I know I'm going to have to take this thing apart another 15 to 20 times. So what I did was I used a gasket material. They use it around bathtubs and bathrooms. Here it is right here. You can get it at Lowe's or Menards. I cut some strips of that and put that between the acrylic plate right here and the plate stack, and that cuts off the very edge of the stainless steel plates. It seats in about 1/32 of an inch, just past the very edge of the plate. So what that does is it cuts off all the electrical connectivity along the edges of the plate stack. That way you don't get any arcing around. You don't want that arcing around because you're losing amperage. The amperage is basically just turning into heat, and that's one of the most inefficient ways to create heat. And we're not trying to get the chamber hot. It's okay if it gets to 110, 140 degrees, but really, heat is not what we're trying to produce. What we're trying to produce here is HHO. Now, Zero Fossil Fuel had a brilliant idea of sealing off the edges of the plate stack. I'm not sure if it was his idea. He used the idea, and that's who I saw it from. I think he gave credit to somebody else. I'm not sure if that was his idea, but that's who I got it from, so I'm giving him credit for it. I'm going to be using SMAC's recommendation. SMAC Boosters recommends using sodium hydroxide. Basically what that is 100% lye. Lye is highly caustic. Don't get it on your skin. But it's very effective in this with this plate stack. I tested it last night, and I was blown away by the production that was coming off this plate stack. I added it must have been about a half teaspoon to 5 gallons of water, and my amperage jumped from 5 amps to about 40 amps with a half teaspoon and 5 gallons of water. That wasn't distilled water. I was just goofing around. I used tap water. Yeah, I know you're not supposed to do that, but I was only using it for a couple minutes, and I couldn't believe that the amperage jump. So I'm going to be doing some tests with pure distilled water. That's what you should be using anyways. I don't recommend using tap water. I was just goofing around, stupid kid stuff. I'm going to be using pure distilled water. This is a half gallon of water. I'm going to add 1/32 teaspoon of lye at a time and see what my results are. I'm just going to add a very small amount of it at a time. I don't have a gram scale, otherwise I'd be using grams, but I'm just going to be using teaspoons because that's the measuring equipment I have available to me. Let me show you my plate stack a little bit. I have 16 stainless steel plates. They are spaced 1/20 of an inch apart, a 1/20 of an inch, and I have 4 different stacks consisting of 4 plates. Some people recommend spacing using 6 floater plates. I tried that. I wasn't getting the results I wanted. Maybe that was working good for their plate stack, but what I found that works best for me, and what I'm using this thing for, is 2 floater plates with 1 positive and 1 negative plate. So 4 plates total. So I have 4 sets of 4 in this plate stack. Now I have 5 wires coming out of this plate stack. 5 wires. Positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. The The copper wires you see are going to be positive. The negative wires are going to be the silver wires that you see. What I did for these acrylic plates that holds the gasket in place was I used 2 1/4-20 bolts. I chopped them down to fit. They have to be, this was a pain trying to get this thing to the right size, because it has to be able to fit in this piece of PVC pipe right here. This is a Schedule 40 4-inch piece of PVC pipe, just like everybody else is using on YouTube. If you want to know the exact design of this, you can go to Smack Boosters or Zero Fossil Fuel. They're all doing about the same thing. I think a lot of those guys switched over to an acrylic clear housing, but for now I'm sticking with a PVC pipe because it's easy to work with, and I don't have acrylic readily available to me. I don't like to order a lot of stuff off the internet, so there I am. I went to Lowe's and picked up some of this gasket material. I did this all last night. I bolted the acrylic plates together, and that's holding the gasket in place. Okay, I'm going to do some tests. I'm going to shut the camera off for now while I get this whole thing ready, and then I'll turn the camera back on when I get the tests underway.